What is up, my YouTube family? What is up, everybody? We are back. We're gonna do a little something different today. We're gonna have a reaction video, kind of, on this the most powerful man on Wall Street, Steve Schwarzman. Most powerful man on Wall Street. Documentary. We're gonna get into it. Let's go.
Group had a stellar debut in the New York Stock Exchange Friday. The successful offering marks the biggest U.S. IPO in 5 years.
I put the television on. It was left on CNBC, evidently. I was eating my dinner on a tray, and then I came up, and I was looking at myself. I was completely exhausted. And I said, this is like surreal. We were on almost the whole day. It was Blackstone Day on television, and it ended up being the second largest IPO of the decade.
With a dream.
Ultimately, all journeys are alone. It's great to have support. You go forward and say, your job is to make something work, and that's your number one priority. To make it work, it's like superhuman effort. People don't become successful as part-time workers. It doesn't work that way.
Steve Schwarzman was called the king of Wall Street. I think.
Yo, that's so true. You don't become successful being a part-time worker, and that's the thing about trading as well, because people want to watch a couple videos and then think that they learned everything, and when they get help from me, when my students come in and they want to get mentored, I always tackle the basics. Just basics, 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 basics. Always tackle the basics, because I remember back in the days when I first started trading and I was on the charts fucking 12 to 18 hours a day. I would maybe work out for 1 hour and then sleep for the rest of the hours, 5 or 6 hours, whatever it may be. 12 to 18 hours a day on these charts. You got to treat trading like it's a full-time job, like it's a profession, or else it's not going to pay you at all.
I think it's fitting, not because the business is so big and influential, but because he built it from the ground up. In 1985, the internal power struggle at Lehman Brothers forced Stephen Schwarzman to leave the company as a senior partner.
When Lehman Brothers was blowing up, I saw a lot of behavior that I didn't like, and I didn't want to be with the people.
While still in his 30s, Schwarzman has made enough money to retire for life, but that is not the life he wanted. Ever since he was a child, Schwarzman always tried to do the impossible.
You have to dream and imagine a perfect vision of what you want to be creating. And then you have to live in that world before it exists.
Wow. Now he dreams.
Imagine being in the mindset of this guy. Imagine being in the mindset of one of the wealthiest investors in the world.
Dreams of building his own financial empire, bigger than Lehman Brothers. His dream seems impossible, but Schwarzman has been beating the odds his entire life. After World War II, Philadelphia was teeming with business opportunities.
About to say, that looks like the 60s, 70s right there.
Even as a teenager, Schwarzman was immersed in the world of business by working for his family's furniture store, which has made them very wealthy.
When I was 14, I had started working at my dad's retail store. It looks a little like Bed Bath & Beyond, except there was no Bed Bath & Beyond.
This is when his ambition started to show. He wanted his family to take the furniture store and build it to become a national brand like Bed Bath & Beyond.
When I was 14, I said to my dad, "Hey, Dad, why don't we take this thing national?" And he looked at me and he said, I don't think that's a good idea. I said, "Dad, why don't you want to do this? This is going to be really successful." He said, I'm a happy person. He said, the store makes enough money, I can send you and your brothers to college. I really don't aspire to more. So I've always been motivated by seeing something that, doesn't exist, but seeing the opportunity and realizing on it, making it as wonderful as it can be. There's just something that, is part of my DNA, that when I see something that works, the first thing I say is, how big can it be? How powerful is this idea?
Not only did Schwarzman excel academically, but he was also part of the track and field team in his high school that eventually won the state championship.
I was an athlete all my life, and in high school, I did a few sports, including track and field. I was a sprinter. Our team won the state championship. We sort of traveled around the country. We were, I think, 4th in the AAU championships. We were pretty hot.
Steve Schwarzman is a soft-spoken guy, seemed very personable, but he's also very competitive. I think this athletic experience has shaped his personality, making him always want to be number one. However, Steve Schwarzman's outstanding performance in classrooms could not get him into his dream college.
Anybody that plays in sports, excuse me, anybody that's played in sports or did a sport competitively will always have that competitive fire in us.
Harvard. As a result, in 1965, he became a freshman at Yale University. But Steve Schwarzman had a rough start at Yale. Feeling isolated, he decided he should do something extraordinary to impress everyone. Around that time, there was no girls at his school. He then comes up with the idea to bring ballerinas to perform for Yale's men. Steve Schwarzman's bold actions got him noticed by a mysterious group of people at Yale, Skull and Bones. Impressed by his abilities, this exclusive club invited him to become a member.
One thing is certain, a secret society is about elevating members above others, us versus them. In the Ivy League, secret societies are the elite among the elite, and members often become world leaders.
Armed with a prestigious degree and invaluable social connections, Steve Schwarzman knows it is only a matter of time until he reaches the top of the world. But he soon found out the real world was much tougher than he thought. In the late 70s, the investment banking industry started to grow rapidly.
I had a friend who was a bond trader at Merrill Lynch in the 1970s.
$2 trillion, what did I say? $2 trillion meltdown?
At Merrill Lynch in the 1970s. He had a job as a train conductor at night because he had 3 kids and couldn't support them on what a bond trader made. By 1986, he was making millions of dollars.
This growth attracted a lot of ambitious young men to join the industry. Among them was Steve Schwarzman, who took on a job at Lehman Brothers, which was the star of the investment banking industry at the time. Investment banks are not really banks. They raise money for companies in the event of a merger, acquisition, or going public.
Like always.
He said, I got your paper. There's a typo on page 43. Bang. And I had really, struggled. What kind of crazy world am I in? What is this about?
Steve Schwarzman quickly adapted to the high-moving culture on Wall Street and excelled at his job. In a few short years, he raised a better part of $100 million for his clients. But his real break comes when he orchestrated a deal worth $488 million.
Remember homemade orange juice? Think back now. Remember all those fresh, juicy bits of orange dancing in your glass, on your tongue? Introducing new Tropicana Homestyle Orange Juice.
Started as a family company, Tropicana became one of the most well-known juice brands. When the company was offered to be acquired, the owners felt it was time to cash out.
100% real and natural, genetically modified orange juice. And then after this, after the orange juice, it was the got milk, all the got milk banisters and stuff like that with the famous athletes or the musician or the actress with the milk mustache. Got milk. Big old campaign, a huge old campaign, a fake campaign for you to drink more milk.
Steve Schwarzman successfully made the deal happen, which secured him the partner status at Lehman Brothers at the tender age of 35.
As I say, it was the second biggest deal in the world, and I wasn't a partner. I was just sort of a worker. So that was sort of, I guess what you'd say, was a bit of a breakout moment for me.
What is next? Becoming the CEO of the most powerful investment bank is not just a dream anymore. Steve Schwarzman feels he's on the trajectory to become a titan on Wall Street. But to his dismay, in just over a few years, he was forced to leave Lehman Brothers. Lois Glucksman was a hard-hitting trader who was known to throw his phone at a wall when provoked. After he became the CEO of Lehman, the culture started to become increasingly toxic.
Lehman ran into a lot of trouble as a result of a change in CEO. My former partner, Pete Peterson, was forced out of the firm, and Lou Glucksman was put in, and through a variety of decisions that turned out to be unfortunate, the firm found itself in a situation with a giant trading position that went wrong. The net worth of the firm, basically mark to market, was zero. It's just a question of whether somebody would figure it out. If they did, that comes to a very violent ending in finance.
Seeing that no one was willing to do what was necessary, Steve Schwarzman started a coup. He then successfully ousted Glucksman and sold Lehman Brothers to American Express and exited the company with millions of dollars to his name.
I was asked to sell the firm in 2 or 3 days, which I did. I was quite happy doing the kind of work that I was doing, but I didn't think that just morally, ethically, I could be in the same place. When you see people under enormous stress doing things that go against your values, you basically don't have a choice.
Steve Schwarzman is at a crucial point in life when he could just retire and live out the rest of his life as a wealthy businessman. Or he could start again. This time, he will build something that was never built before. Without hesitation, Steve Schwarzman decided to start his own business with his previous boss, Pete Peterson. The only problem is they don't know what business to start.
For several months, we had breakfast every day at the Mayfair region at 66 and Park. We were the first people there, the last to leave, and we said, what would make us unique? What would be different? Because we wanted to be successful, it's better to be different than like everybody else.
Eventually, they
All right. I think I'm gonna cut right there. Got some things that I want to do this morning. And we will be back with a part 2. So like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.